you have this kind of energy that's bringing us, to a comfortable and proud space to say that I'm Black and, I'm Muslim. But at the same time, I have my struggles and it doesn't look anywhere near, yours. And it's because of that, we all have different privileges within being Black too, that this whole fair skin thing, which was not even created by us. And it's something that a privilege that, was created by a system that wants to divide us and still. So understanding those privileges and looking at other people and saying, I wouldn't know what it's like to be you, but I'm still Black too. And like knowing that that's okay to say that and being open to whatever feedback you may get, or listening to people rant and tell and break down their stories is super important too, because we have 2 ears to listen more and we have 1 mouth to talk less. So I think it's important to just hear other people out and like their experience of being Black, so that we're able to like find similarities, but also like just be a listening ear for them to vent, because our experience may be different, especially with the whole light skin thing and like, all this whole entire like complexion kind of like diversity in a sense of like, we're not Black, but, because we have these privileges, but it's like, no, I actually have experience of a Black woman. So like, my experience is actually a Black experience. So really owning that and not like feeling compelled to change who we are no matter where we are at, because our stories are the ones that change the world, that change the shape of our very institutions, of governments. Harriet Tubman was the one who like freed all of these slaves, but then she's the one that really started the Civil War between the North and the South, because she kept going back to get people and she wouldn't stop, and this was a Black woman who kept going back, and she's the one that started the Civil War, because they were like, okay, we're going to have to fight over this because she keeps coming down here. And she started a whole thing in Canada. She went all the way up north so that she was able to free the slaves, because they wanted to have slavery abolished, but they wouldn't go forth with the necessary actions as government, because let's be real, it was still funding a lot of the economy in America. So like our experience is one that is so unique, but that struggle makes us even more beautiful. So I really appreciate being Black. My Blackness is like one of the main things that connects me with everyone else's struggle, and I see struggle to be diverse, and I don't just look at my struggle as the only one, and I'm able to empathize or sympathize with other people's struggle in that sense.
It's so beautiful that you're telling these examples, because the big thing that I hear is that you don't even only recognize it and you think about it and you want to gain more knowledge, you educate yourself and you share it with others, but you create brands to amplify your voice, to create platforms for people like you, for women that have experienced different struggles but have a similar experience. So why do you think building brands and building something that actually can create a change is important, rather than only recognizing your identity and living it for yourself?
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, I think the most important is because within those brands, something happens, something like revolutionary happens, because you not only want to make a change for yourself, especially being Muslim women, like we became Muslim on our own merit, like we wanted to become Muslim because we wanted to change our lives. But within the spaces that we need to be in, we need to create brands and creatively make those brands so that we can talk to all people, talk to people that don't understand our struggle and educate them on that struggle, and making sure that we're not just making a brand that is like, oh yeah, this is a cute brand and it's, fluffy and like people are going to want to buy stuff from me, but utilizing that space that people want to buy stuff from you and putting that money towards a philanthropic goal and building something that is important for the communities, so that people could be like, okay, well, this is not just fashion. This is not just art. This is like, revolutionary. This is political. This has everything to do with our very nature. Like fashion and clothing is political too. Like they do a lot of fast fashion in different countries, and a lot of countries the workers don't get paid a lot of money to make the clothes. So in that space, utilizing that and saying, okay, you know what I'm going to do with this opportunity? I'm going to utilize this opportunity to make something that's more about awareness, because within that space, I can do that because my clothing brand is not based off of that, and now it's expanded to like an arts and humanities brand that is able to connect people through art and also through like our own experiences so that we can showcase our aesthetic as Afrofuturists and be able to bring people into a space of that. Like, what does that look like? Afrofuturism started because Black people wanted to escape their reality. Like it was just like something that we wanted to escape, and we made this kind of Black sci-fi fantasy so that we're like, that's not us. Like we're like this, we're superheroes, we're this, we're able to depict our own world. We're able to depict who we actually are. So doing that helps a lot of children see themselves. I was outside on a Halloween Thursday, and this little boy, he literally had a Black Panther costume on, so cute. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's Black Panther. I was just like so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, we need you. And he was just like, how do you know I'm Black Panther? And I was like, I see your costume. And he was like, oh, because he thought like because the mask, like I would not know he was Black Panther because he didn't have the mask on. And I think that's the main thing, is like seeing the clothing, right? And seeing like, that's the Black Panther costume. And I know that you're Black Panther because that's his like, whole entire like aesthetic. And it looks like that, without the mask being on his face. And that's amazing to see that and see his excitement. And he was just like, whoa, like, he ran, he's like, I'm going to save the world. And it was just like, wow, like, the impact that Black Panther had on a lot of people really changed the aesthetic of how Black people carry themselves now. So utilizing that in full circle, Afrofuturism and the brands that I've made, it's not only for me to express that, but it's also for people to bring themselves to a space of like, I don't know about this world, but I want to know. So I'm going to learn from the art and the fashion and everything. So having expanded on that is super important for the youth, especially because it's coming from an animation art, kind of space where a lot of young children will just be more inclined to learn about Islam because of the aesthetic that in which we present things at APWIMCO. So yeah, it's definitely expanding more and more that I talk to people and I see young children like interested in like Black Panther or like just animation. It happens to be one of the main things that we focus on, is like the artistic perspective of Afrofuturism and how that looks in fashion. And also how that would look in an editorial magazine, and what that looks like going forward. Because it's just the beginning. Afrofuturism has been around for a while, but people are just now opening their eyes to it since Black Panther came out. So it's going to be, I know it's going to be a huge thing in 2020, but right now we're like expanding on it and being more, open to showcasing that and having a lot of people open to the awareness of it. So it's great. I love what I'm doing with APWIMCO, because APWIMCO actually is a collective, but APYM literally means Operation Young Muslima. So the whole thing is not for just this, Afrofuturism aesthetic, but it's like, I want to help young Muslim girls get more education so that they understand Islam, through this aesthetic and through this whole entire world. I'm able to, put that in a space like, okay, we can fund these projects, the Operation Young Muslima, so that young Muslim girls from, whether they're from war-torn countries or whether they're from, countries that have famine, they've gone through like, refugee camps, they're able to still come to America, or we're able to build in their lands schools that really help educate them, not to just be wives and be someone's servant, but to be a scholar in Islam, because we need more women scholars in Islam.
And don't forget, the real deal is going on at sharediversity.com. Jump on the newsletter, comment below this episode, and share your diversity with us. If you enjoyed this episode, like and share it with your friends, and make sure to rate and review us on iTunes so we can keep creating content that is relevant to you. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.